almorzar con mi hermano Adriano. Y aquí no encontramos Buenas tardes, Adriano.
Buenas tardes, fratellissimo del alma.
Qué gusto estar de vuelta. Right here, right now,
right
in the
here,
presence.
right now.
The presence.
Exactly in the presence.
We're trying out this new streaming, so our viewers will have to let us know what it's like, if there are any noticeable differences.
Exactly, audio and video quality. You can hear us okay and see us. We're trying it out. And as we arrive, everybody can allow yourselves to arrive into this relational field we're creating. And any listeners that we, including you and me, hermano, you and me, that we're here together once again. Estamos aquí juntos.
Exacto, exactamente.
Sí.
Pues qué gusto seguir haciendo este proyecto. It's meaningful. Keep going with these streams and these conversations, sharing our tender little hearts with the world. And in a time where it feels so good to be open with one another, it's so good to be transparent, to be vulnerable. And one of the things that can at times prevent me from being transparent and open is the feeling that it's the lack of freedom, feeling like, oh, maybe this is a subject that I shouldn't bring up. Maybe, and I'm just saying in general, in conversation when I'm talking and sharing or being hesitant about sharing. And I wanted to talk about it so broadly, just what that experience is like of feeling like I don't feel totally free to say what I'm thinking, to talk about things, and as a result, to really be who I am. And so my question as an opener is just what it's been like. Like, what is it like to have spent so much time feeling I shouldn't say things. And as I was thinking about this theme, which is a very broad one, but I was relating it to our inheritance, our cosmic inheritance, because as we have talked about on these streams so far, and because of how this channel is conceived of around remembering and around family and stories, then I naturally was just thinking, so what kind of legacy have I received in that experience of feeling hesitance, or even the resistance to talk about things. So there's a lot of directions that we can take it. I wanted to open just with that, with naming that I have that present in me, where there's been things that I don't feel comfortable speaking about, bringing up, and then just thinking about this perspective of how I may have inherited or taken this experience transmitted through relationship, through family. So I wanted to start there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and this theme, I mean, of course, you and I checked in about it before this call, some, in the past days, but wow. This theme is like an archetypal structure that resonates through all of our ages and also all the structures that are the sense of even group structures, right? Group cultures, like individual. It's like I cannot speak, or what I cannot say, or I don't want to say, or it feels too risky to share.
Mm-hmm.
In maybe there, like with myself, I can't tell myself. And that's an interesting one because it's like hidden inside of me. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, and then suddenly it's like, well, did I find myself thinking about that? Or, oh my God, did I say that in that moment? That it's like, like, oh God, that's making me very uncomfortable that I said that, or I didn't say that, or I whatever. And then we have the relational and the family, right? Of like, well, I better not say this in front of my mother, or better not say it in front of my grandfather or my or whomever, like there's just certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and so here we're then that grows into then bigger groups. Better not say this in this institution.
Mm-hmm.
Better not say this in this bigger bubble of
Mm-hmm.
inside of this country.
Mm-hmm.
um, then
Yeah.
it's like, oh, better not say this than in this continent. So anyways, then we could keep on going. Um, and my sense is that also I cannot, like, I don't want to say, the reasons why I don't want to say or that I can't say are also tied to my own beliefs of belonging.
Mm-hmm.
So we're connecting to the theme of also belonging,
Mm. Yeah,
right?
deeply.
It's like, do we kind of like, it's kind of funny, but it's like, will we belong together if I say this,
Yeah.
or if you say this, or will
Yeah.
we still belong? Or suddenly, no, whatever. Or it's like, now you're on the other side, and now we start playing this game of polarization, and all the and part of what's also very important to me is the awareness that there's also neighborhoods of experience where it's better not to say,
Mm-hmm.
because there's also moments in which, if I share this with this, if I share something about something very sensitive, about a death, about something that is very vulnerable, or for a child that is too young,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the relational situation, it's like, oh, it's going to create more chaos if I say this.
Mm.
And then it's like, where is it that I'm putting that or lodging that stuff that I'm not saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, where are
Mm-hmm.
we putting it? And
Mm-hmm.
then I guess the last thing is like the whole, will we be attacked? Will we be, you know, will we be retaliated against if we say something or don't say something?
Yes. Yeah. I feel like, yeah, the last couple of things that you brought up in relation to where is it put, it relates or it connects so much to things that we've spoken about in previous conversations about the freezer metaphor, as far as like putting things away, right? And like where does repressed content live? Um, but then I was really struck, yeah, by your description of like that moment when you're choosing to either say something or not. And um, because it made it so evident that it feels like when I'm going to choose to say something, there's something at risk. Like I'm risking there's something at stake there. So if you were to respond negatively or with some resistance towards something that I say, what is it that I feel that I'm risking? Because I think often it feels like the very relationship itself is endangered somehow. And and I think that that's an important realization to have, that a lot of times when we're speaking, there's like a ground level of insecurity about the relationship that is present and that's informing how free I feel to talk about any given subject or maybe a particular subject. And so a lot of times that the kinds of conversations that we end up having are more steered by how safe it feels to go to these particular places. And then that's why a lot of times conversations feel maybe sterile or innocuous, or interactions can feel superficial because, well, maybe it just doesn't feel safe to go anywhere else. But then by default, we just land on this place that kind of lacks more, I guess, authenticity or realness. But um, but I was just gonna center a little bit on that experience of what it's like to feel like I'm talking with someone and I feel like their response to whatever I have to say is going to risk my relationship, is going to risk the security that I feel in relationship to them. And yeah, I guess that brings me back to the idea of how was it that those kinds of experiences and those kinds of outlooks are transmitted through family. Um, how safe did it feel to challenge something that my dad said or that my mom said? How, and whether or not um, I ever learned it was also okay to say something without knowing that it was, quote, right, you know?
Hmm.
Like it brings up this whole region of I guess a type of self-censorship that I've done because of there being this uncertainty about whether what I say is accepted or not. So
Hmm.
anyway, I've said there was a bunch of things there, but
Yeah. 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 My awareness goes to the sense of, depending on the age that I am, that if I feel very young, then my sense of insecurity is tied to the noise level of my insecurity is just so much louder. And there's this, meaning it's kind of like the worry of and carefulness
mhm,
increases a lot. And the more that I feel safe, because well, if you don't like me, or if I say something that seems to trigger something, that I can still be present through all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Can I be present? It's like, oh, I said something, that I accept that I have contents in my being that are not harmonious with life, and that I can, what if I can bring them out, and I I am on the adventure of getting to know what it's like to disclose
Mm-hmm.
with that level of freshness and more wholeness in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's part of, in the last episode towards the end, I shared something with you about, oh, like for a very long time, I didn't share. I didn't share that I felt very sad when I felt like I had to go to, or the sense of having to go to be responsible for this sense of safety, for like relational safety for our family
Mm-hmm.
in a certain way, from a
Yeah.
very young place, being just really worried. That it's kind of like, oh, I want to make sure, whatever under those words, make sure that blah blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
or I have to go do this, um, and then feeling that kind of separation, that sense of separation, and all the unspokenness on what didn't feel speakable with us,
Mm-hmm.
between us. And additionally, I mean, the other part that's very difficult is to be able to speak more genuinely about, oh, I like more openly, like I'm very worried about our mother.
Mm-hmm.
Like to be able to share, because I know that I was worried for a long time. I was very worried in different ways, and yet I don't remember saying that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I showed myself kind of depressed or kind of in different ways, but not really openly saying. Kind of like as brothers, be able to
Mm-hmm.
say, "Hey, I'm very worried. Very
Mm-hmm.
worried, and I don't know. Also, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what to make of this."
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing to recognize how there's this profound mutual care that is born out of relationship. A lot of times is implicit because as you speak those words about the unspoken concern and worry, I see that in perceiving your own state throughout that time, but just subsequently and in general, I have a similar response. Like there's this mutual care for that is constantly present. It's almost like it's embedded into our experience itself. It's like our experience is born out of this present, and in that present, like the nature of what is born is this caring, and enveloped into that caring is this relationship with other and with family and with loved one. And And it would have been great at the time to see that you were also, whether it was distress or whatever it was you were going through, that it was also being born out of this profound and innate sense of caring,
Mm.
and to connect with that
Mhm.
in a way. Because if I perceive someone that I love in distress, I immediately go into the mode of how to resolve this. Um, but in a way, I also start projecting and thinking, oh, they're in distress because I'm not doing enough. This is this whole thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
But there can be, and there can be now this recognition that part of what they're going through is a product of their care and of their like embodiment of the relationship in which we're in. And there's something alleviating about that. Um, and I think
Yeah.
that it's
Mhm.
similar to how it's alleviating to just to know something is real.
Mhm.
It's like when I hear you say something that is clearly coming from your heart, it immediately shifts me into this mode in which there's just a lot of things that go out the window.
Mhm.
There's a different kind of other alternate mode of existence that kind of just fades away because there's something that matters that's happening here.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
anyway, I'm kind of I'm going on,
You
but
feeling
yeah.
that? Yeah. 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 My sense is that that what you're speaking to is it's it's like the web of life. When we feel into there is a web of life that is making everything that is possible at a more basic foundational level. That's before we have the opportunity to worry.
Hmm.
There is this ground of being,
Hmm.
and there's a also an analogous quality to this ground to simply the quality of being, the culture of being aware that we are before we do.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it was in the first session or first, episode or the second that you brought up this quote that you wrote at your retreat
Hmm.
that was something like never sacrifice presence for
Hmm.
anything else.
Yeah.
and um and that same phrase or that statement, what it is that it connects me to is it's like a move. It's like a relational and inside. It's an internal, like interpersonal and also intra psychic move that is
Hmm.
like a thawing, a slow thawing that's like a warming.
Hmm.
That's gently kind of like, oh, wait, we were together. We were together that whole time.
Hmm.
And this sense of connection is facilitated from what you're saying. It's facilitated by the sense of the implicit care.
Mm-hmm.
Can I sense the care in me? Can I sense the care in my brother? Can we sense the care in each other
Mm-hmm.
that's underneath everything that we're doing first? And what happens if we do that?
Yeah. A lot. A lot happens.
Yeah, a lot happens. It's very warming.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's thawing almost.
Yeah, it is thawing.
It's amazing that in every moment as the moment is born, that experience of caring continues. It's born. It's weird. It's like timeless. It's continuous and yet it's timeless because it's just.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm feeling there have been times in other conversations that we've had that we feel this timelessness. There is something there that I feel that it's much more than an idea, which is why it's kind of this. It's like an it's like an I aming ground or earth
mm-hmm.
that that is interconnected. And but then the other thing that is like out of the from beyond this sense of, or I don't know if it's within this interconnection, the other piece is that there's like a love story.
Mm.
There's like an echo of a love story that can be perceived very ever so gently or ever so quietly, you know. There's like an echo, and I can hear it a little bit like, oh, there's like it's the history of a love that is implicit,
Mm-hmm.
that was there for us, that we were standing on or inside of all the time.
Mm.
And that it very much feels like love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it reminds me of the word soul.
Mm.
Because it's like a movement that is slow and deep. Intimate.
Mm. I'm curious how this budding awareness of the implicit care that is present can inform how we approach disagreement and, and experience of being at odds with someone or with the world. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and and I guess what I feel is that when I'm experiencing that implicit care, even if I can just notice it in myself or in another, that it shifts or it changes what is at stake when I'm having a conversation with someone. it doesn't feel like that caring is at stake, right? And it doesn't feel like the relationship is at stake because even if I'm gonna disagree vehemently, that doesn't mean that I'm substituting that care for anything else. But I'm just acknowledging that that's what I'm feeling and being able to sense into that implicit care in the presence, which is clearly not always the case, and maybe most times. And there's something about what happens in my composition where I come into the neighborhood of disagreement where that trust becomes at risk somehow. Um, and I think that one of the reasons why our relationship and our brothership, our siblingship is so fruitful for me and so rewarding, and also somewhere where I learn from, is because it seems like even when we do have disagreement, we keep one foot in that implicit care. And at least more easily than I feel maybe with others. Whatever, maybe it's life history, clearly by shared biography, but also there's the share of a sense of knowing, I know the love is in your heart. And so it feels easier to trust in that implicit care that's there. And therefore it feels easier to feel a greater sense of freedom in the relationship. But so anyway, I wanna bring this up about disagreement and conflict and what it feels like, how it threatens the feeling of implicit care, and um, how it can help us also, because we need to disagree with each other. I think
Mhm.
it can be a beautiful thing. It can be a sacred thing to have a disagreement. It reveals something you care about, and we can come closer, right? We can dig closer
Mhm.
in this greater caring that the world and the universe is doing. Um,
Exactly. That's what I meant by soul, or like by
mm,
the greater care that this world is pulsating, or vibrating, or yeah,
yeah, right. The world soul.
yeah, yeah. This greater existence that's flowing through us, and yeah, as I sense, we, I mean, we just invoked this sense of care, yeah, in this conversation, you and I, and I can feel basically how there's a perfume of connection that I can feel here that is like almost like a psychotropic, you know, or psychedelic kind of um, experience as it pertains specifically to thinking about or perceiving or looking at disagreement and
Hmm.
um, and potential conflict also.
Hmm.
As I imagine myself disagreeing with you, there's a very strong feeling of that the difference has implicit within it a like that the more strong the difference is, if we can hold it, the more strong there's a sense that there is like an implicit creativity, like a force of creativity that I sense if you and I really disagree,
Hmm.
right now, just because of the sense of connection, it might make us laugh, you know? Like I feel like a giggle that could come up
Hmm.
in my own system. That giggle feels like a kind of lubricant,
Hmm.
like a kind of lubricant that can allow for a sense of wonder and wondering and curiosity and playfulness. It's like a disposition for playfulness.
That's deep. Yeah, it's so real.
Yeah.
The playfulness, the wonder, the awe that comes with a different kind of mode where, and there's also like an adventure, like you said, there's a curiosity there. And it's allowing also to be humble. Yeah, I guess that's what it feels like to have a dialectic, in the sense that a disagreement can become creative, to use the word that you used.
Yeah. There's also another part that's here that my sense is that you know how easy it is when there's disagreements, like for example in my own relationship with Andrea, there's a when the places where we tend to have more disagreements have to do specifically with more global events, politics of things where there's a lot of suffering, essentially. You know, the pockets of suffering in the world, and um, and I'm aware right now as we're talking that this implicit sense of connection and this implicit sense of caring changes me in another way, where I can see how when I'm not feeling this way, it's much easier for me to slip, just like to be talking about, you know, something about the polarization in the United States, or just something, you know, just some kind of topic, some war or something, to be able to be looking at something and very quickly slip into a kind of analytical framework that starts to look at what's right and wrong, and the specifics, and kind of like analyzing, but in a kind of like surgical kind of way, trying to look at things and police words. And it's like this, you know, this kind of
Yeah.
piece that can go into a sense of like even feeling like a sense of againstness. And what changes for me with this feeling that we're playing with right now a little bit, or is playing through us, is I can see that lifting off into that analytical jargon feels to me like a lack of care.
Yeah.
Almost like that when I speak that way about, oh well, no, but this was said like this, or this politician said this, or this country did this, or whatever it is, as if I were speaking poorly of parts of the world unconsciously, but that in the moment of this greater connection with you, I feel more sober in that way. Like, oh, I don't want to talk about you like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a sense of, oh, I'm sorry that I've been speaking about you without really knowing you.
There's something so important there, and that I do feel is so at the root of how our interpersonal dynamics can often be. Because, yeah, the truth is that I'm often not attuned to the caring that is going on in my interlocutor, and the other person that I'm speaking to. Like, and that I'm also maybe not attuned to what's going on in me. So what's happening, what's being expressed, is not not the caring. It's likely that's not even the present moment. It's more something that I'm carrying. It's more something that I'm needing, but that's not being spoken.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to where we started in a way, because what's the experience of the lack of freedom to speak something? Well, maybe there's a lot of care that feels like it doesn't have the tools to express itself. And so it shifts into a different mode. And for different people, it can be different, but one of them is certainly the analytic mode, like you said. Like, I'm going to find the right analysis that can substitute my expression for what I actually care about in this moment. And it feels absurd and tragic in a way that we get caught up in patterns of, oh, I'm gonna make a statement of fact, and and uh, and somehow that's gonna stand in for a statement of my reality, of what I care about, and it and there's something comical about it, but also sad. Um, so yeah, so I feel grateful in a way that we have this opportunity to bridge the distance, because part of what I feel is that when it feels like there's an implicit distance between us, that's when I feel least open and willing to express what I care about actually, like beneath.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm most likely to recur to some instrument of
Mm-hmm.
some interaction, some pattern, some analysis, um,
Mm-hmm.
some folly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the train of San Miguel. That's nice. And
You can hear that.
I just heard it for a moment. I think, yeah.
You did. You
Um,
recognized it immediately.
yeah. It's very nice. Um, it's nice. Grew up with that sound. Um, hmm. um, there's a there's a way in which we are the relational quality that we are living. Um, I feel that when I heard you say, when I feel or when we are distant, then I find myself or I end up allowing something, to say this or that. And what I'm sensing there is that the distance is speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And when I speak from that distance, it's God, it's like so those kinds of conversations that feel so, what's the word? It's like they're well, there's like a slight feeling that they're doomed.
Mm-hmm.
That when you're in that kind of conversation, when you're talking about something and it's like, well, this is gonna be unpleasant.
Um,
Like it's
right.
gonna be unpleasant because we're gonna talk about these things, and We're gonna, look at these things that are kind of difficult and
Yeah.
yeah.
And futile too, like
Yeah,
we
the futility, exactly. Yeah. And so, but my sense is that that futility is is the architecture that we are speaking from. Meaning that is
Mhm.
that's what I meant by the relational, we are the relational
Yeah,
quality. Like
right.
I am that futileness. I'm not just experiencing it, like
Yeah.
yeah. If I find myself complaining, you know, about something painful.
Hmm.
I feel gratitude and like a warmth. Like there's like a little like little embers underneath my belly warming.
Hmm. That's nice. I like that.
It's very nice. It's like feeling like there's a ground.
Yeah. Well, in this act of remembrance, it seems like there's a great opportunity for the revelation of just how deeply we care and the fact that the care continues. And there's also the opportunity to look at moments in my life, in our life, where there was some defining gesture that, or it seemed to be at the time, maybe, that determined and defined some specific interpretation that I gave to life. And and I think by bringing this sense of the implicit care and like what was the care in those moments where I felt I had to determine reality, whether it was trauma or whether it was difficulty or things where I felt like I have to define my narrative and my story. Um, but how can I go back there and identify where the care was for me? And how can I go back and identify perhaps how distant the care felt or how impossible the caring felt in those determining moments, right? Where I made a story that I then stuck to about who I am and how I act and how I speak up or don't in the world.
Yeah. How can we yeah, how can we? There's something that happens when we do it. And not just you and I, but when beings do it together, that there's a remembering or like a weaving, a re,
Yeah.
and it's like a it's a thread. That's the part, one of the parts that's most touching. It feels so much like the deepest parts that I've ever felt in my heart. You know, like it feels kind of like that a little bit.
Yeah.
It feels like the I you're telling me that I am a part of something that we are a part of
Yeah.
that has been going on all the time and is continuing to go on.
Yeah.
It's like the words that you were saying just a little while ago. You're saying it's like, oh, this care goes on. I could have replaced your word care with life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like being connected to the fountain of life, that there is a life that is here, that we are living,
Mm-hmm.
that is helping us and or making it possible for us to be here.
Yeah. Mm. I sense the depth that you're feeling.
Mhm.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a peacefulness there. And I think part of what I feel is that there's a peacefulness that comes as a result of orienting ourselves with that story of care, that story of love that you were talking about.
Mhm.
And that's when the present begins to feel like an opportunity and like a moment, like a gift. Um, as as opposed to having the present feel like a torture and something we've been like a sentence we've been condemned to, which often is the case for a lot of people. It's like, oh, every successive moment is just reminding me of distance, alienation, of separation, or of the impossibility for the world to become a more loving, better place. And it feels like so it's like unquestionable, you know? And I think that that's one of the things that I want to bring up with you.
That's the freezer. That's the freezer. That's the frozen
Yeah.
past. The
Like bring up
unquestionable.
what feels
Mhm.
unquestionably so, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so many things in our world that people just sense that it's unquestionable, like he's an asshole, or like it's unquestionable. You know what I mean? Or like anyway, or that there's no other way of interpreting a tragedy, and that it's like it's not about making light of something heavy, but it's about having that like that willingness to look into the depth of pain and of separation, really, and to let it be alive though, and to not encapsulate it, not to demand that it be rigid.
I mean, that's to not demand that it be rigid is like, well, that's my sense is that there's a wonderful opportunity here. Um, well, when you said the word gift, that it's like it starts to become apparent the quality that life is a gift. And that is the purest, like oxygen, like just for our minds and our hearts and our beings. And but the piece that is becoming more and more evident also as we shine a light on this, the recovery of the giftness of life that we are, like the gifts that we are. It's like a
Mhm.
remembering that there's something here that is a systemic, um, collective blindness to the love and the care, the implicit care and love that we are. Like, it's a massive, massive, massive popular culture. It's like pop culture. This
Right.
sense of, what are you talking about? And there's something about the devotion that I feel, that's part of our devotion, I believe, that I feel, that is, we're devoted to helping more of the world realize the love that we are.
I love that you brought up that word devotion, because I was at this dinner last night where it was kind of like a ritual meal. It was so beautiful. It was a Sufi house, and the devotion with which they put down every plate, and it was done in silence because it was a specific ritual meal. But the reverence and the devotion that was present, it gave me the opportunity to feel that life is a gift. Like, it did that. And I think it was like a manifestation of someone's devotion and also of someone's surrender. It's like, and I think that that's part of what happens when I surrender my need to know exactly what this conflict is about, or to know exactly how I'm responding, or what I need to do. And I'm willing to like embody this devotion that allows for it actually to be born again, for the present and for my interpretation to be
Yeah.
suddenly miraculously fresh with a glimmer of hope, because even the slightest of glimmers can feel like earth-shattering when you've been living under the paradigm that there's nothing to be done.
Exactly.
And so, yes to that breath, yes to that even the slightest little glimmer of possibility and of humility about how I'm interpreting any given conflict. Um, yeah, there's so much more here.
Mm.
There's so much more, but
It's, I
but
can
yeah.
feel the. What were you going to say? Hold on a second. I lost you for a moment. Let's see.
Can you see me now?
Oh, there we are again. Yeah. 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 Back.
Anyway, I was just saying that
Yeah.
it's continually rewarding to share this way with you, and
Mm-hmm.
to invite and to invoke more of this together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, hermano. Yes. Yes, too. Um, yeah, I'm feeling a sense of gratitude. A sense of gratitude for the alchemy of speaking to to the gift. I guess I'm feeling that's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling a sense of gratitude and like a bow in me to there's some architecture that is present that has made it possible for us to hide and then remember and then experience this marvelous reward of being alive.
Yeah.
And so there's a sense here of also the devotion of noticing where life is criminalized and where life is welcome and free. And that this is part of this architecture that we are devoted in our relationship. Like there's an implicit devotion to bringing these parts. And so so there's a sense of gratitude for that the architecture that we are inside of, that is allowing for this awareness to be. And yeah. Also, thank you, hermano. Thank you. Gracias. Yeah.
What you were saying reminded me of the quote you were saying about the architecture and about it's almost like the inevitability of returning and rediscovering. But there's a quote that I remember from Meister Eckhart, that says that God is like someone who hides and then clears his throat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and it reminded me of what you were saying.
That's exactly. It feels like you know what it feels like? This is just really good. It feels like there is a greater being that is longing for us. That we are longing to, and we are being longed for. And those words from Meister Eckhart. It's like there is somebody hiding like right over there in the corner to clear their throat, and we're like, oh, hi there, welcome. Wow, fratello.
Thank you all.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, and thank you all. Until next time, next Monday is the plan, and may all beings be well. And, yeah. I'm remembering the melody. Do, 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 do. Something like this. Oh yeah. Excellent. Well, with that, a little whisper of a departure. Until next time.